Welcome back to the ZeroW Podcast, where we talk about lifting, coaching, and more. You can learn more about Zero by going to www.zero.com.au. That's Zero with a W. We are also proudly sponsored by Establishment Coffee. Head to establishmentcoffee.com.au. Use the code 025 for 25% off and free shipping. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. That's what all the cool kids say. And if you're on Spotify, hit that 5-star review. We love it. Enjoy the show now. Hello. Welcome. It's just me and Daniel today, a lonely podcast. James and Bridget have deserted us for a month. Thanks for coming to chat.
Have you seen the Instagram stories so far? They were like, I was watching James's Instagram story and he was going, this place, that place, this shop, that shop. It looked really cool. And I was like, fam, they're killing it. And it was like, at the end, it was like day one things. I was like, man, this guy is tearing it up.
Yeah. I saw the little windmill things looked really cool.
Oh, I didn't see that.
That's all I've seen so far.
Oh, that must be day 2 things. I'm not up to date yet.
Must be. All right. Well, we'll get straight into it rather than doing the regular gratefuls and how are you and what have you been up to thing. The real purpose of this is to sort of recap APL Nationals.
Yes. I will actually I wasn't like normally when I come on, I'm not really a big fan of the gratefuls I am a big fan of them, sorry, but I never have any quotes prepared or anything like that. But I will say I am very grateful because Nationals obviously was 2 weekend, not the weekend just gone, the one before, about 10 days ago. I am actually extremely grateful for everybody that pitched in and came down and helped at that event. That event was crazy. People were offering help left, right, and center. And anybody knows me, I'm very hard at accepting help from people. But the event wouldn't have gone off the way it did if it wasn't for everybody's help. They really pitched in. And like we even had a team that flew down from Queensland. They all helped out for the week. We all stayed together, lived in like a Airbnb together. And it was really nice. It was really, really good to have help from everyone. Guys from Mackay came down, all the locals in Victoria, the people from the Zero Gym, it wasn't even open yet. They were all pitching in. They lent us their equipment. Sorry about that. And yeah, all the people that were willing to help out. It was really, really good. And I'm extremely grateful for everyone.
For sure. It was a mammoth effort. One thing I keep coming back to is like double the platforms. In your head, you just see it as a competition, like regardless, but double the platforms is like actually double the work.
Yeah.
You know, and double the problems. So like having the amount of help that we had was phenomenal. So I echo what Daniel's saying. Absolutely extremely grateful for everyone who took the time to help out and make the event so wonderful. And all the spectators, all the lifters, everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
So how are you feeling after it all?
I feel good this week. Last week was crazy. I tried to work. I tried to work and I was trying to get up to work and I just had no, I don't even know, driver. I was so burnt out from that event towards the end. Even throughout the event, like if anyone saw me, sorry, I was probably like fucking running around all over the shop. Like I was pretty burnt out, but I feel way better this week, back to reality now. So I feel good.
Well, start from the top. So, like, ages ago, you came on here and you had just gone down and sort of secured the venue. If you look back from the weekend back to then and coming in, sort of announcing it, did it pan out the way that you expected or you wanted? Was it better, worse?
I'll say it like this: is that a lot of planning and effort went into it and a lot of stress came with the event from a lot of the unknowns. Like anybody that's watching this, if you ever dealt with at a venue like the Melbourne Exhibition Centre, it's not just like dealing with the local footy club. Like it's on a whole nother level. They have processes, procedures, like even something as small as being like, hey, can we have a look inside the venue the night before just for 2 minutes to map it all out? And the answer is like, no way. So it's like, they're super strict on everything, but completely understood. That's the way they do their business. They run things properly. So going into it with a lot of unknowns was quite tricky. Did it pan out the way I wanted to? Yes, it did. It did. I think it was like pretty surreal moment where I had a goal to say, I had this unrealistic goal to be like, I want to have 1,000 spectators in the venue on Saturday. That's my goal. And then we were tracking the amount of spectators that were coming through the door, And the venue actually hit us up that morning and was like, look, guys, we've just done the venue capacity. You guys can't have more than 900 people. Like, fuck, okay, well, we had the goal for 1,000. And then at one point, we're looking at the amount of people that have come through the door. And I was like, we've hit like 1,200 people in the venue right now at once. And then the venue called me and she's like pretty stressed out. Like the lady that was dealing with us at the time, like she was awesome. But she called me, she's a bit stressed out. She's like, there's people standing in the aisleways next to the seating because you guys have hit 1,300 people capacity in the venue right now. And the way they track it is apparently all the doors have counters in them. So the doors count how many people go in and out. So they actually have an accurate reading of how many people are in there. So we had 1,300 people in the venue. To put it into perspective, the grandstand seating had 600 seats and we had to keep stopping. We had to stop the comp a couple of times and be like, you need to bunch up and get more people in because we've got people standing in the walkways and they're going to stop the competition if we can't clean that up. And then like obviously in the expo hall, that was full of people as well. So at that moment, it was pretty surreal. Like it was pretty crazy around that midday Saturday mark. Yeah, that feeling was cool.
Man, it was wild in there. And I remember at some stages we were sort of worried that we've run competitions at the Brisbane Multicultural Centre, which is what, 200 seats?
Yeah, like 250, I think. 250, maybe 300 at a push.
And my fear with these events is always like the bigger you go with the size of the hall, the less full it is, the more it feels shit. It's like if you've got seating capacity for 600 and there's 100 people in there, it feels terrible versus 200 with 100, it feels kind of good.
Yeah.
And so to have full stands with like 600 seats is wild.
Yeah. So originally, like the seating can go all the way back to the wall and it can have 1,000 seats in there. But we reduced it down to 600 because we were like, there's no way we're going to fill this. And then after the Friday, we were actually asking them if we can get the seats increased to another 100. And they were like, you're in too deep now. Like they can't edit the grandstand and stuff whilst an event's already started happening. Even if it's overnight, they can't do it. But yeah, we tried to get it increased because yeah, like it was just, the response was crazy.
It's weird. Like I've obviously been to a lot of big events over time, and this was arguably one of the best powerlifting events I've ever physically been at. And I don't know if you got the sense, but I never got to enjoy it. Like you're so busy doing stuff for the event. You never get to really, like there were moments where I could walk up and sit and get a feel of like what it was like at the top of the grandstand or whatever, like very small snippets, but like coaching at Pro Roll back in the Arnold's days which to me is like some of the peak powerlifting competitions I've ever been at in terms of atmosphere and just enjoyment. It's like you're amongst it. When you're running it, you're just all over the place, always putting out every fire. Did you feel like that?
Yes. I barely watched any of the comp. The only competition, so I watched some of the comp, but the only comp I actually got to witness was when I was spotting and loading. So besides that, I didn't get a chance to walk into the grandstands up to the back to have a look. Yeah, like it was chaos the whole time. So I didn't get to really enjoy the expo experience of it, but I mean, I didn't build it for me, so we didn't build it for us. So yeah, it was really good.
What was the overall feedback from the event?
It was good. A lot positive. There was a couple of things we got. Heaps of positive feedback. People loved it. The event went really well. Obviously, I always latch onto the feedback of things we can improve, and things we can improve is like things that we knew already. So a lot of it just comes down to more resources, like more TVs being around the place, just things like that. But when you're organizing an event like this and you're already bringing 6 or 7 TVs, it doesn't cross your mind that we need to bring 12 of them. And it's like, where do we get 12 TVs for a weekend? I mean, we can rent a TV from the venue for
$1,000,
$690 for 3 days.
Yeah, hectic. Well,
for one TV.
Why don't you get into some of that? Like, what were some of the organizational hurdles of putting this thing together? Because people walk in and they see the spectacle of it, but you really can't have a handle of what actually goes into it until you've seen the behind the scenes. So this is an opportunity for people to hear about what it's actually like putting together something like this.
Yeah, okay. So to put it into perspective, we ran nationals last year at the Multicultural Centre. So the Multicultural Centre is a theatre in Brisbane. So the coordination to so the organization to run that competition was super simple. It was almost like not much thinking involved whatsoever. It's sort of like equipment goes on the platform. That's all it is. So the platform was very small. We managed to do one competition platform, 3 warm-up stations out the back. So 3 combos, 3 deadlift areas, all that sort of stuff. To organize that took little to no effort. It'd be the same as organizing a competition in our local gym, which to me doesn't take a lot of effort from us because we've got so many resources at our disposal, especially in Queensland where all of our resources are. Now, we've decided we're going to take that and put it into another state where we didn't have any resources, and luckily Zero just opened. But first obstacle you're going to come across is, okay, we now need to double or triple our equipment. We need to put it into a state where we haven't run anything before at this scale, and we need to have it to the same standards that we always had. This means every piece of equipment needs to be identical in the warm-up room to the platform, all that sort of stuff. So that's the first obstacle, is like, where do you get the equipment to even run the competition? Now, once we organize that in itself is a logistical nightmare because we have to organize all the shipping to be there at the appropriate time. I feel like I'm getting off track here.
Because Cardi's busy eating cardboard.
Sorry, my dog's here.
Eat the stick. Eat the cheek stick. Cheek of what? Is it like beef cheeks or something? Or pig cheeks?
So it's a beef pizzle stick. I don't know what pizzle is. So if anyone can't see, my French bulldog Cardi B is here, and she's
chewing up the place.
Farting
up the place.
Yeah. Okay, so
logistical nightmare.
Okay.
Getting all the stuff.
So getting all the stuff there. So that's number 1 issue. Number 2 issue of a logistical nightmare is running an event like this obviously comes with costs. Now, if you had given us $1 million, it would have been easy to run this thing because we could have just thrown as much money at it as we can. But you have to be sensible because it is only so much money we can spend on an event like this. Another logistical nightmare of hosting a competition like this in Victoria is all of our resources are in Queensland. So not just equipment, but personnel. All of our spotters, all of our loaders, all of our referees, like a huge majority of them come from Queensland.
When you say our, you don't mean APL, you mean like us.
Yeah, us as in Zero. So all of the helpers, like when we have run our national events previously, not all the helpers, but like a huge portion of them that run our platforms and stuff like that. The people that are fast, efficient, all these sort of guys that we rely on all the time, guys and females and that sort of stuff, they're all in Queensland. So now we have to pay to ship all of them down there as well.
The standard that people have come to expect, and like our goal is to have that as consistent as possible.
Exactly.
So there's a risk of like, there's plenty of meet directors and referees and spotters, loaders in Victoria, but are they to the standard that people are used to at a national event?
Yeah. And another thing too is like there's a lot of great spotters and loaders and platform crew in Victoria, but we're not running 1 platform anymore. Now we're running 2. So if historically we ran it in Queensland and we used all of Queensland's resources plus a few from interstate, we now need to double that because it's in Victoria. So not only do we need to run an entire platforms crew, but we need 2 platforms crew. We need double weigh-ins. We need double referees, double tech desks. We need double everything. So I think at one day, was close to 50 people. I think we had volunteering at once, because if you think about it, you've got like at a bare minimum, you need 5 spotters and loaders on the platform, 3 to 4 referees, 2 or 3 tech desks. So you're up to about 14 people, 12, 14 people. Then double that, that's 28. Then you've got people doing weigh-ins, what brings it up to just over 30. Then there's people doing like odd jobs around the place, like all that sort of stuff. It just keeps increasing. So, so that organizing all of that becomes a big thing and a big cost as well. It's attached to that. I feel like my brain is just all over the place with this.
No.
Give me some direction.
No, all good.
Yeah.
All good. So there's like the logistical side of it, the personnel side of things.
Yep.
And then just general organization.
Yeah. So
outside of that, in terms of just working with the venue and all the red tape that came with it.
Yeah. So when we decided to run this competition, as I mentioned before, we've always held this in things like the Multicultural Centre. So anyone, if you speak to us, our goal with APL and with Zero as well, but our goal with APL is to grow powerlifting to everyone. We want to take the sport that we all love, that we all know, and we want to bring that sport to the masses. We want to make it bigger. We want to be able to put on a bigger show for people. We want to be able to grow this sport as a whole to people that don't know powerlifting exists. So once we put it at the Melbourne Exhibition Centre, we have this space, we have powerlifting there. Everybody that is in powerlifting knows about this space. How do we now start getting people that don't know what powerlifting is in to come and watch this powerlifting competition? Because again, more eyes on the sport, but like a big goal that we've had, or a big feeling I want people to have, is like when they come to a national competition, I don't want the lifter to walk out to 6 people in plastic chairs just sitting around and watching this competition. I want those people to walk out and there's an auditorium filled with hundreds of people cheering them on at a national level. Like, that is our goal. That's what we want. So it's like, how do we achieve this? And then that's when the thought of like, let's bring other sports in that complement powerlifting so that we can bring in more spectators to come and see powerlifting. And not only that, another thing we mentioned previously was it gives the spectators that are coming to watch powerlifting something else to witness or have a look at when, like a lot of the time someone comes to watch their son or their daughter compete or their best friend or whatever, that lifter is only on the platform for 9 minutes total in the whole competition. It's like outside of that 9 minutes, their parent might want to go out and see their son or daughter in the warm-up room, go and have a look at a strongman competition, have something else to sort of like keep them entertained whilst they're watching this powerlifting competition. So then that's when the idea of bringing in other strength sports came about. So we had Iron Revolution. So JJ from Iron Revolution Victoria, they ran a competition through Oz Strongest. Then we had Chris Ackland. So he's got Iron Tribe weightlifting out of Carrum Downs. So he came down and ran a weightlifting competition. And we also threw arm wrestling in there as well. So it's a big part of like then being able to market this as a strength sports expo, so to speak, is a big reason of why we can market this. And now we can bring more people into the venue to come and watch the powerlifters actually competing. And that was where their goal is, because I'm not going to, you'd have to be pretty, like, obviously to achieve 1,300 people coming to watch a powerlifting competition, we need to have more than just powerlifting. Because at least I know for myself, is like I found powerlifting through the Arnold Strength Sport, the Arnold Expo. So like I went there, I saw Pro Raw happening. I thought, this is awesome. I love training, but I love training. I love bodybuilding style training, but it has no goal for me. I don't have the intention to ever stand on a bodybuilding stage, but this is cool. I can train the way I train. It gives me a goal to work towards. I can compete. I can, have all of these sort of benefits with it. And that's how I found powerlifting, through the Arnolds. So if I'd never gone to that expo, I probably never would have found powerlifting, and I never would be in the position in my life where I am. So it's like, how can we start to create this for others? And that's where we ended up with this. So to your question about logistics, is like, now not only am we trying to work out the logistics of a powerlifting competition, but we're now trying to work out the logistics of, how do I get a strongman competition in there? How do we get a weightlifting competition, arm wrestling? How do we get all of these people coordinated so that they can bump in all of their equipment within that same, 6-7 hour window that we have in the morning? How are we going to get everyone out Sunday night? If we're 5 minutes past midnight on Sunday night trying to bump out, it's a $14,000 charge or something like that. So it's like, all these things are running through your head. Okay, cool. Well, now we've got sponsor booths. Okay, we're going to get sponsor booths in there as well. So we have the ability to give something back to the powerlifters. Like, powerlifters want to be walking around like, hey, I want to buy those wrist straps from Harris, or I want to check out what Bulk Nutrients is doing, like or what's LSKD doing, like all these sort of fun little interactive things powerlifters can have. Now we've got to coordinate all of that. And yeah, it was just coordinate all of that, and then obstacles come along from all of that as well. So it's just, a lot of the stress came from trying to have all of that coordinated to be able to run at the same time without completely blowing out a budget, which was tricky.
Very tricky.
Yeah.
Very tricky, especially when, so the Melbourne Convention Exhibition Centre was like 8 times the cost of competitions that we've done in the past, like significantly more, without significantly more lifters doing it.
Yeah, just the venue cost was about 8 times more than we've done before.
A house deposit, put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, this event was, I guarantee this was the most expensive powerlifting competition anyone's ever run.
Definitely in Australia.
Yeah, in Australia for sure.
For sure, absolutely. But I mean, I think it's important to talk about that kind of stuff because I'm going to make a separate solo podcast about this, but it blows my mind when I look at something like even IPF World Championships, and I'm not trying to rag on the IPF, but like, the IPF collects all this money from companies for being IPF approved, like hundreds of thousands of euros. And the Junior Worlds, the Sub Junior Worlds is on right now. Their training hall is in the underground car park. Like this is like endless money, but it's not being reflected in the sport. And I think one thing that I've loved about what you're doing with APL is just like the money is really going towards continuing to put on a spectacle. Like the nationals that we did before you were the president were in the Ashmore PCYC.
Yeah.
With literally plastic chairs and 20 spectators. And then we were in the Novotel with a little bit more. And then we were in the Multicultural Center for a couple of years. And now it's like taking a fucking massive leap to this, which is a good question for you. Like, can you go backwards from here?
No. So, fuck. Every single year when we do a national event, we can't go backwards. But like to your point about that car park thing, it's crazy to me. And I guess this is reflective of like why we try to bring other sports in is like, how on earth is the pinnacle of our sport people are in a car park? Like, this is crazy. I mean, APL is, just an Australian federation as it is. And it's like, we're just, I don't know. It annoys me a little when we see that sort of stuff because it's like, we should be trying to elevate this sport and we should be trying to take this and treat this like a serious sport. And but no, to answer your question, we can't go backwards from here. We need to keep upgrading and we need to keep going forward, which in itself is extremely scary. And that was a big thing that stressed me out a little bit going into this is like, this is taken so much stress to organize this competition and we can't go backwards from here.
Yeah. But I mean, you can match things like the venue and the experience and still go forwards by consistently improving the quality. Like we did that at the Multicultural Center. The second time around was much better than the first time around. Like, so you've got a bit of breathing room with that for at least a couple of years.
For sure. If we end up rerunning the same competition at the same venue, we can make it 50 times better and it will be half the amount of stress because we're not going into the unknown as much as we were with the one we just ran.
So before we get to talking about sort of what's next, what are some of the standout experiences for you from the weekend? Like I know we had an interesting experience with the trucks. God, he stinks, man.
Yeah.
We had an interesting experience from the trucks. Are there other moments like that stand out to you as like either positive or negative things that you're not going to forget?
Oh, you mean like as in like obstacles that we faced along the way?
Or experiences, like was there a standout moment with one lifter that's like, oh fuck yeah, this is why we do it? Both not even positive or negative, just things. Yeah. Standout moments.
Okay. So a lot of the positive things is like obviously giving that lifter that platform. So like I said before is that our goal was to have a lifter walk out and there be hundreds of people in the crowd cheering them on, getting them excited to lift at a competition. And like I said before, that Saturday midday mark, we sort of achieved that. I saw, especially on the weekend, it was a lot busier. Friday is always a bit of a quieter day. We understand that. And we also cleaned up a lot of things by the Saturday and Sunday, so the competition was running a lot smoother. But yeah, when I came out and saw certain lifters coming out and just the whole crowd cheering them on. So I guess this story's going to jump around a bit, but one of the standout lifters for me was when Margaret Pugalis came out and she was lifting and she's always doing her thing and just the whole crowd was there cheering her on. This is hundreds and hundreds of people. And what felt good about it is that a lot of people may or may not know that it's no surprise that, and we'll touch on this a bit later, originally we were going to separate Masters and Juniors Nationals and have a standalone Masters and Juniors Nationals this year. And then we're going to have a separate. This was going to be nationals, and Masters Juniors was going to be separate nationals. When we announced that we were going to do that, a lot of the Masters lifters were not quite happy with this decision and were really upset that we were taking them away from their competition or the competition they've competed with all the other lifters for all these years, and we're going to put them aside and put them into their own nationals. They got upset with that, rightfully so. So that was why we ended up with the decision of where we did to combine them back into the same competition. And Margaret was actually one of the pivotal people for me when I was thinking about this, and was one of the pivotal people of why we ended up keeping them combined. So when we came out and I was watching her come out and the crowd was going crazy for her, that for me felt amazing. Yeah. Yeah. That was a huge standout point. That was really good.
It's always so good watching her. And she does always get like probably one of the biggest crowd responses of any lifter that we get ever.
Huge. So that was really cool. And besides that, like I can't comment too much on the lifting because I didn't see a lot of it. I saw it from spotting and loading, but it's obviously very different. You just making sure that no injuries are happening. What about you? Was there any standout moment for you?
Lifting wise
or event wise?
Same thing. I watched my lifters obviously, and I didn't really get to watch much of the lifting outside of that. Like both of us spent time on the live feed for a little bit here and there, and even doing that, you're not really watching the lifting. Like you're so focused on all the stats, but also someone's tapping you on the shoulder every 2 seconds, being like, "Hey, you gotta fix this. Hey, the computer's broken. Hey, this." So one of the standout lifting moments for me was in the super heavyweight flight for the men. Broncos scratched his second attempt because he wanted more time, and then he squatted 400.
Oh yeah,
and so like that was pretty special. Seeing him squat with 400 was sick. And I mean, Ash's lifting was great. It was great being behind the scenes because he's such a the crowd does get excited for him because he's so hypo. You know?
Yeah,
gets so aggro when he goes out there and is entertaining. So that was fun to watch as well. And Chris Kennedy, man, lifted so well.
Yeah, crazy. Didn't he get a 600 dots?
Yeah.
He's now, that puts him in the top 100 dots of all time.
Yep. And number one ever in New Zealand.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Only New Zealand male to do 600 dots, which is epic. So yeah, from a lifting front, that really stood out. For me, the Saturday, like even just walking from the tech table or the platforms to the bathroom through the expo was like, what the hell? Like this is mental.
Yeah.
It was really cool to see. And I got a chance on the Saturday afternoon I tried to like nurture the relationships with sponsors she's trapped. CJ, can you move that back? She squeezed her way through and she can't get back. Tried to nurture the relationship with the sponsors and hang out with them a little bit. And I've never really watched weightlifting. And Chris's whole shtick with that competition was to not do IWF because it's like IPF was like 15 years ago where it's kind of like golf, like crowd silence. You're not allowed to talk, really quiet, really official. Whereas he like cranks up the music, puts a live feed, gets a hectic commentator. So watching them do their thing, weightlifting was really cool for a few seconds. But like I'll never forget the whole truck debacle. That was insane.
Yeah, so a couple of the negatives that were pretty bad. We hired a truck from Hertz, and I'm 98% sure when we hired, so two wheels on the front, two like a left and right wheel. On the back, there's 4 wheels across, so 2 on the left, 2 on the right. I'm 98% sure when we hired it that the inner wheel on the back left was already blown out. So it already had a hole in it. There was no pressure in it whatsoever. We didn't realize this, obviously, but when we picked up the truck and we got it back to Geelong and we filled it full of equipment, the truck is like this, like it's full leaning on one side.
Bearing in mind that Geelong's an hour away from where we got the truck.
Yeah.
It's not just like around the corner.
So we'd hired 2 trucks, a large one. So Thomas could drive a medium rigid. We could only drive a small moving truck. So we hired 2 trucks. When we got it back to Geelong, we filled it up full of equipment. We had both trucks perfectly full, all of the equipment. And we're like, this truck isn't able to hold any weight. There's something wrong with this truck. We need to hire another one. So this is on the Friday. We scrambled and hired another truck. And then, so now we've got 3 trucks. So now when we've filled...
For more context as well, just so people understand, it's not like you can just saunter into the venue and like spend Thursday afternoon loading in. We had like 7 hours on Friday morning pretty much to have everything set up.
Yeah, so from 5 till 12, we had to set up the entire competition expo, everything came through that roller door at the back, and at 12 o'clock that roller door, at 5 o'clock the roller door went up, 12 o'clock that roller door has to come down. Everything had to be in by that point. So we needed our trucks perfectly filled. Now, in hindsight, we could have done that a lot smarter, but this is what we thought we had to do to work with the venue. So
We learned.
And what we learned is it was Thursday at 4 o'clock when we realized the Hertz truck wasn't holding enough weight in that back tire. So we quickly scrambled to budget and hired another truck. So now we had 3 trucks. That's fine because we just put all of the light stuff in the Hertz truck. That was all good. We ran the competition. Somehow we accumulate. Oh, that's right. We ran the competition, but when we were setting up the competition on the Friday morning, it was about 10 in the morning. We realized that we'd only gotten enough 25 kilo plates for the platforms. So we needed to get another 60 25 kilo plates from Geelong. So Toby, who had hired the 3rd truck, jumped in his truck, shot across to Geelong, picked up the 60 plates, shot back in time. I guess it just didn't really register in any of our heads that, or I didn't think about it enough that we now had an additional, how much weight is that? 1.5 ton?
Yeah, a lot.
1.5 ton? Yeah, my math is bad. 1.5 ton of plate that we now had to get back to Geelong. So when we went to bump out, we filled up all of our trucks. And then it was that point we realized that when I knew the Hertz truck wasn't holding enough pressure in the tire, I thought that maybe the tires weren't just pumped up. I tried to stop at a couple of servos on the Thursday to fill up the tire, but none of them were truck stops. So I was like, we'll deal with this later. Kind of everything just got hectic, forgot about it. So then when we went to bump out on the Sunday night, filled up all the trucks. I went to the truck stop first thing on Monday morning, only to find out that back tire was holding no pressure. When you go to put air into it, you could hear the air coming straight out. And the truck is literally leaning on a side. So then we had to run 2 trucks back to Geelong, unload all of the stuff, then come back, unload 1 Hertz truck on the side of the road, put everything back into the budget truck because now, again, we've got an additional 1.5 ton worth of stuff. Then we shot that back to Geelong, and then we had to shoot all of the trucks back to return them before we could catch our flights back on Monday at 6 p.m. It was fucking chaos.
Yeah. Yeah, it was hectic. And imagine if on that Thursday it was just perfect timing. If it had been 5:30, there was no way we could have hired another truck that day.
Yeah, no, we got one just at the last minute.
Yeah, it was very, very lucky. We had a bit of a debacle with apparel stuff. We had, there's just stuff came up that was completely unpredictable in the midst of trying to run this unprecedented sort of thing.
Yeah, first aid was another one too.
Yeah.
So historically, and I'm sure maybe everyone else is doing things differently, but historically when we run powerlifting competitions, we would get first aid officers. So someone has first aid, what level of first aid that is, and they'll bring first aid kits with them and all this sort of stuff. This is what we thought would be okay. The venue, every single security guard at the venue is first aid trained. We had a first aid officer on site. But no, halfway through the day on the Friday, they asked where our first aid officer is. We explained this is our first aid officer. They said, that's not good enough. You need to have proper event first aid.
And your own defib, even though there's defibs all through the building.
Yeah, defibs all through the building, but they have to bring their own. They have to bring wheelchairs. They have to bring the full kit, proper, legit first aid. We find this out Friday night, and they say, if you don't have first aid here by 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, you can't open. So we scrambled. One of the people in the community helped us out. She helped us get first aid officers organized. So thank you for that. And then we got first aid officers there the next morning to be there for the entire weekend. Again, another thing that's
the weigh-ins on the Friday.
Friday.
That was a little surprise.
Yeah. So we were so the venue was cut into 2 rooms, and we had everyone come in to weigh in at 8 a.m. on the Friday. They were going to come into the venue because we already had access. We were already paying tenancy at the venue. We're all building stuff in the expo hall, but the actual the area where the competition is, because the room is split into 2, the area where the competition is, that's where we're going to host the weigh-ins. 8 a.m. everyone's there out there waiting to weigh in. And then the venue tells us we can't let anybody in, even if it's into the completely separate room where we're not working. We can't let anybody in because the entire expo, the entire thing is now a live site and we're not allowed to let anyone in. At this point, she's like, oh, that's fine. Everyone's just going to have to wait around for a few hours before they can weigh in.
Meanwhile, they're starving to death out there, cutting 7 kilos or whatever.
So we're negotiating with them. We'll shut everything. We'll stop everything. Like, it was like pretty bad at one point. It was like trying to work out off-site venue.
Did we ask if we can put the tent in the outside hall, and they were just like, no way?
Yeah, we asked all of that sort of stuff. And then afterwards, it was so frustrating because afterwards she's like, oh, by the way, you guys have external offices that you've paid for. You could have just used that.
Oh,
nice.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Sick.
So good to know. But yeah, so
I think it only held the weigh-in back by about 10 minutes in the end.
Yeah.
It wasn't awful for the lifters. It's just another one of these things that was blowing up on the inside of the room that no one really knows about.
Yeah. So that was managed to be, pretty okay.
Where is she? So many cool things. I can't even. It's such a blur. Like, it was such a huge weekend and such a blur. But yeah, I guess the stuff everyone really wants to know is what does next year start to look like? Have you nailed any plans? I'm asking like I don't know.
So next year is looking. Obviously, we're going to go bigger. Well, it's not obvious, but we are going to go bigger. We've listened to everyone's feedback. We are in discussion still with a lot of it.
Still figuring things out.
There's
kind of like 2 major options at the moment, right?
There is, yeah. And we're still, I guess we can be open with it. We're still in the discussion of whether to split Masters and Juniors into its own competition or keep it as part of the competition like we did this year. Now, I know a lot of people were very upset when invites went out because we invited a lot of Masters and Juniors. We did. But people were upset that we didn't invite more Masters and Juniors. So the big discussion we're at the moment is, and we're just being fully transparent with everyone, we have 2 options. So work with me on this. We'll have the discussion about it. You guys can be part of the discussion. This is what we're thinking. We have 2 options. We can create a separate Masters and Juniors Nationals, and we can invite 250 lifters. Like, that's a lot of lifters. We can invite 250 lifters as a Masters Juniors Nationals, and then we can have our standalone Nationals, as we did, in which we'll invite 200 lifters there. Or put them together, keep them together, have a same set cap. So we could still set a cap of being like guaranteed 300 Masters and Juniors. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Guaranteed. We can even try to work out some qualifying totals. We can put this a lot more clearer so there's no ranking, no confusing ranking system for Masters and Juniors. We can have a set, let's call it 300 Masters and Juniors, and then we have 150 open age lifters, and we can put it all in the same event and host something similar to what we hosted this year. That's an option. Or option 2, we separate them into 2 separate events, and we separate them into 2 different events. And as for what that would look like, we're still in discussions about that. But like, if you liked the idea of Nationals this year, if you wanted to be a part of Nationals this year, like if you're a master or junior lifter and you wanted to walk out to that hundreds of people in the stands, like the big spectacle that it was, we can create this for you. We can create this, but it would mean, I think, combining them all, but still having as many Masters and Juniors being invited as if we had a standalone one. Wait, CJ. Don't let her go down the stairs. Oh, that's all right.
You know those memes that are like your dog when they're like fed and looked after and like worshipped as soon as the door opens? It's like,
just bored.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to both, and I think the thing people also have to remember is that it's not just Masters and Juniors and Open. It's then you've got tested, untested, and wraps and sleeves, and so coordinating it so everyone gets their shot at the big platform with the growth that APL has experienced is kind of the challenge and the question mark, right?
It is, and we're in discussions with some other parties at the moment, and we can't disclose anything yet because nothing is 100% finalized, but it's looking pretty positive. If all of our plans come to fruition that we're wanting, it looks like we'll be able to host 3 national style events next year. So we'll be able to host not an invitational, but sort of like it'll be a qualifying competition. It won't be nationals. It'll be a qualifying competition early in the year.
But with a nationals feel.
With a nationals feel, yeah.
Special comp,
and it will have a lot of eyes on the sport. So you'll be competing in a place where there's going to be a lot of eyes on you, a lot of people cheering you on, a lot of new people that wouldn't have seen our sport, or seen APL at least. And if we get that'll be one event, and then we're in discussions as to what to do with nationals. So if we do go ahead with this option that we're discussing of keeping Masters and Juniors combined still, we'd be looking at a drug-tested raw nationals. So that will encompass Masters, Juniors, and Open lifters in the drug-tested raw division. Now, then we'll have a secondary nationals, and the secondary nationals will also be as part of another event that's going to have heaps of eyes on the sport, really prestigious feel. It's going to be like pretty big, pretty fun, and that will encompass untested and wrapped lifters, both of which means we'll then end up with 2 proper national events, and both of them will be pretty fun competitions. Yeah,
and really, if it's split like that, where there's not a standalone Masters Juniors, but there is a fair amount of spots that it would actually end up equating to either the same as a standalone Masters Juniors or probably even more. You probably get more opportunities for Masters and Juniors if the nationals are split up into raw and wraps.
Yeah, if we structure it the way we're discussing now, we'd actually be able to give out more spots to Masters and Juniors.
And I think that's an important thing because you don't ever want people to think, okay, well, we haven't done a specific raw Masters Juniors Nationals, therefore you don't care about Masters Juniors. It's like, no, we're trying to work out the fairest way to get the most opportunity for everybody. And this probably gives more opportunity to Masters and Juniors as well.
Exactly, yeah. Because, yeah, it does. It does. And
just want to say everything without giving everything away too much, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love having the Masters and Juniors combined with the Open Age Nationals. I think it's good.
The only part where it comes challenging is it gets quite confusing with, like, especially at this competition we just ran. You've got Open Age divisions, then you've got Masters, Juniors, Teens, and then you've got wraps, no wraps, and then you've got tested, untested. So when you're running flights or sessions, it's pretty hard to get one of each in those things. So when you do awards, there's just like so many divisions to give awards away in. So the split that you're suggesting where it's like raw tested, you'll still have some extra divisions among, Masters and Juniors and stuff like that, but it's all raw tested. And so it makes the awards presentation a lot clearer. Because I feel like when I'm sitting there rattling off all these different divisions, people are literally just there to collect their medals.
Yeah.
There's not much of a presentation aspect, and the less divisions we give away per session, the more of a presentation aspect it is, which I think is really important for highlighting the lifters' achievements too.
Absolutely. And I think that's why it makes sense to keep it as a drug-tested raw nationals, because that's our biggest demographic. And that way, we can invite more of those sort of style of people. And that's another thing too, is like, I know a lot of Masters were upset that we didn't have a Masters, and that was some feedback we got, is people be like, oh, you need a Masters Juniors Nationals because I'm a Masters lifter in this certain age and weight category and I want to compete against 5 other people. Hell yeah, I love that. But there's not 5 other people in that division. So I can't create that division. I don't know what my dog's doing.
I just hope she's not stuck.
She's definitely not stuck.
She's hunting for snacks. Yeah, that's another challenging aspect of it. And I mean, we had said this last year, and I think it's always really important to come back to this point as well, because an argument could be made, okay, why don't you just do a Super Nats, and on one day you have all the Masters and Juniors, and then another day you have Opens, and then another day you have this and that. The hard thing is that, and why the format ended up this year, is that a lot of the Masters and Juniors are the top Open lifters.
Yeah,
like
correct.
So many of the podiums I would call the Junior Awards or the Masters 1 Awards or whatever it is, and then I'd call the Open, and the same 3 people or the same 2 people come down and get their medals as well. So
I mean, yeah, like Lockie King won. He was still a junior, right? He won the overall junior and the overall Open. Yeah.
Well, so, and you know, that makes it challenging for competitors as well. Like let's say we ran a Thursday that was Open this, and then a Friday that was Masters and Juniors that. The Masters and Juniors that are good enough to compete in the Opens, that are the ones winning the Opens, where do they compete, and how do they find a relevant competition? You know, so that makes it a little. We have to think about it from every single angle to make sure it works.
Yeah, and having to force them to choose which one they want to compete at or both is also difficult.
Regardless, we're going to make these competitions exciting. Which one of the directions it goes in, we're not sure yet, but either direction, we're going to have some big competitions, and the whole goal is that as the federation grows, while it would be nice to have one giant, massive nationals, eventually that's going to take 5 days, which just doesn't work. It has to be split eventually, and then if it is split, we never want people to feel like one of those nationals is better than the others.
Yeah, exactly. And at the moment this year, a lot of Masters Juniors missed out. A lot of Open lifters missed out. We invited 430. The competition ran with 400. If we split it and we end up in the discussion that we're looking at, we could have potentially across all the divisions, across both the nationals, the 2 main ones, we could potentially have 600 or so lifters. So that's an extra 200 lifters we can invite that we didn't invite this time. And a lot of those invitations can go towards those Masters and Juniors, or new lifters that are coming into our sport as well, which will be Masters and Juniors. Sorry.
Yeah. And for the people that want to, it also gives a little bit more opportunity to do a couple of big comps per year rather than just saving up for one. Because if you save up for one, like you said, there were 430 entrants, 400 competitors, which means 30 people got injured, or like the majority of dropouts are injuries. If you get injured and you miss out on this big opportunity, at least it opens the door to still do something huge that year.
Yeah, absolutely. And like everything we do as well along the way is like we're talking about this and having this open discussion. Hopefully people that may not watch this podcast, like hopefully we share this on the APL podcast. You can watch this, give your opinion, because the feedback matters. We really do appreciate everyone's feedback, and we really do take it on board. It really does matter. Sometimes it's hard. Like we released feedback after Nationals this year, after the invitation process went out, and we said, well, what's your feedback? Unfortunately, all the lifters that didn't make it into, all the Masters and Juniors that didn't make it into Nationals told us that we need to have a standalone Masters Juniors Nationals. The way we did it was not the greatest. And then we asked everybody that got into Nationals, and they had the completely polar opposite view, and they said, we love the way it is, don't change it. So it's like, we end up getting torn left and right again. So it's like, how do we find that middle ground? That middle ground, I can understand, or not assume, but I guess I can assume that a lot of lifters were upset because they didn't get in. Whereas like if we do this and we have it all as one, we can now have opportunities to invite that extra 100 Masters and Juniors or whatever the number is, and still keep everything together in this one big event. So you're still lifting with everyone, and it still gives that big feel. I think that would be the middle ground. But again, love your input if everyone wants to share your opinion.
It's one of these things. It's like every federation says we are for the lifter, by the lifter, for the lifter, or whatever. I think APL truly is. Like, your feedback does matter. So, changes can't be made unless you voice your opinion. So, voice your opinion, your constructive feedback.
Yes.
Don't just get angry for the sake of angry. That doesn't help anyone. All right, man. Well, is there anything else you wanna drop or announce or say before we close things off?
Nothing we can announce just yet. We're working on a lot of things in the background. We'll have new things coming out next year. Nothing we can announce as yet.
My advice to people would be enter all of these like end of year competitions that are coming up and start to stack up your qualifying totals early.
Yeah,
because it's just going to get more competitive.
Yeah, and we could have a really big, like I said, we could have that. We're looking like we may have a competition. Yeah, towards the start of the year that you will need to have set a qualifying total to compete at, and it'd be a pretty cool competition to be a part of.
Yeah, so jump in comps now, fill them up, and work towards qualifying early so you can chill and have a big run into these big comps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on.
Nice.
All right. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the ZeroW Podcast. If you want more information, head to our Instagram, @zero_weakness. Hit the link in the bio for all of our services and any information on upcoming workshops and events. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review so we can have a broader reach and answer more people's questions. Thank you once more.